Want better relationships? Avoid these 10 common mistakes smart men never make with women. In this video, I will explore the following points. Don't prioritize her over your own purpose. Don't seek validation from her. Don't ignore your emotional health. Don't sacrifice your integrity. Don't let impulse control you. Don't be afraid of difficult conversations. Don't lose your independence. Don't ignore self-care. Don't let ego dictate your actions. And don't settle for mediocrity in your relationships. 1. Don't let emotions govern your actions, continuing from the importance of setting boundaries and remaining grounded in your own values. The next crucial aspect of being a smart man in a relationship with women is understanding the power of emotional control. Emotions are a natural part of being human, but in the heat of the moment, they can cloud our judgment and cause us to act in ways we might regret later. In relationships, this can be particularly dangerous. The Stoic approach to emotions. Mastering, not suppressing. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the belief that emotions, when unchecked, lead us away from rational thought and virtuous action. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus didn't argue that emotions should be suppressed. They recognized that feelings like anger, jealousy, and frustration are human responses to external events. However, they taught us to be masters of our emotions, not their slaves. A smart man, grounded in Stoic principles, doesn't let fleeting emotions dictate his actions, especially in his relationships. Imagine this. You're in a heated conversation with a woman. She says something that irritates you, or maybe she's upset, and you feel the immediate rush of frustration or defensiveness. The Stoic response? Pause. Take a deep breath. Don't react impulsively. By practicing emotional detachment, you allow yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting out of irritation or hurt. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Smart men understand that their emotional responses are within their control. They don't let anger or disappointment drive their actions, but instead, they pause and choose how to respond. Why emotional control is the key to healthy relationships. When emotions are left unchecked, relationships suffer. Whether it's overreacting to a small disagreement or letting insecurities drive actions, like jealousy or possessiveness, unchecked emotions erode trust and communication. Smart men recognize that reaction often leads to regret, while reflection leads to growth. For example, let's say you're in a disagreement, and instead of reacting with anger, you take a moment to step back and assess the situation calmly. Rather than lashing out, you choose to listen, understand her perspective, and express your own thoughts clearly. This not only de-escalates the situation but also demonstrates maturity and emotional intelligence, two traits women deeply appreciate. Emotional regulation equals strength. Smart men don't run from their feelings, they regulate them. Emotions, if not managed well, can lead to impulsive decisions or unproductive behavior. A Stoic man, by contrast, approaches emotional challenges with the same wisdom he'd apply to any other problem. By reflecting on his values, practicing self-control, and considering the long-term consequences of his actions. A man who controls his emotions isn't cold or distant. He's simply more deliberate and thoughtful in his responses. This kind of emotional mastery shows a level of strength that not only enhances the quality of his relationships but also cultivates self-respect. In practice, emotional control isn't about denying yourself the right to feel, it's about choosing how to respond. Whether it's handling frustration, sadness, or excitement, the Stoic ideal is to acknowledge emotions, understand their root, and then respond with virtue. This makes all the difference in a relationship, where acting out of unchecked emotion often leads to unnecessary conflict and distance. Final thoughts. Emotions can be powerful, but they should never control you. A smart man, grounded in Stoic wisdom, understands the importance of mastering his emotions and responding rationally. By doing so, he not only strengthens his relationship but also builds a foundation of respect, understanding, and emotional maturity. So, the next time you find yourself swept up in a moment of emotion, pause. Remember the Stoic approach. Choose your response wisely, and your relationship will flourish. 2. Don't seek validation through women. Building on the idea of emotional control and self-mastery, the next critical element of being a smart man in relationships is not seeking validation through women. It's natural to want to be appreciated, admired, and even loved, but when your sense of self-worth is constantly dependent on how a woman perceives you, you're giving away your power. A man grounded in Stoicism understands that validation must come from within, not from others. The Stoic Foundation. Self-worth comes from within. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the importance of inner peace and self-contentment. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Stoicism encourages us to develop an internal sense of worth that isn't shaken by external circumstances. Whether that's a challenging situation at work, or in this case, a woman's approval or lack thereof. A smart man doesn't base his confidence on someone else's opinion of him, especially not on superficial approval. When you seek validation through a woman, you're outsourcing your self-esteem. This makes you vulnerable because you give someone else the power to dictate your happiness. Instead, Stoic wisdom teaches that you should find value in your own principles, actions, and personal growth, not in the fleeting praise or criticism of others. The danger of seeking validation, weakening your authenticity. Imagine this scenario. You're constantly going out of your way to impress a woman, buying gifts, changing your opinions to match hers, or trying to look a certain way just to gain her approval. In the process, you lose touch with your own values, your true self. This approach not only strains the authenticity of the relationship but also creates an unhealthy dynamic, where the relationship is built on a fragile foundation of external validation. Seeking approval can also breed insecurity. If you're constantly checking to see if she's impressed, or if she's happy with you, you're never truly at ease. Your focus shifts from building a genuine connection to performing and seeking reassurance. This leads to a cycle of self-doubt and dependency, where your emotional state hinges on her reactions. The power of self-validation. True confidence comes from within. A smart man rooted in Stoic principles understands that true confidence comes from being grounded in who you are, not in what others think of you. When your self-worth isn't reliant on the validation of others, you become more authentic, more relaxed, and ultimately more attractive. A Stoic man knows that confidence comes from knowing and being comfortable with himself. Rather than seeking approval, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Work on your personal goals, cultivate your passions, and align your actions with your values. When you do this, you'll naturally attract women who appreciate you for who you are, not for the persona you've created to win their approval. Healthy relationships require mutual respect, not performance. By not seeking validation, you open the door to healthier, more balanced relationships. Instead of performing for approval, you're engaging from a place of mutual respect and understanding. A smart man doesn't mold himself into someone else's ideal. Instead, he stays true to himself, and if a woman is genuinely interested in him, she will appreciate him for the person he authentically is. This approach isn't about arrogance or indifference. It's about cultivating a deep sense of self-worth that allows you to show up in relationships without fear of rejection. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, whether the woman loves you or not. This inner confidence is magnetic. 3. Don't neglect personal boundaries. Picking up from the importance of self-validation and not relying on others for your sense of worth, let's now dive into a critical concept for maintaining a healthy and respectful relationship: personal boundaries. A smart man, grounded in Stoic principles, understands that true strength lies in maintaining his integrity and respecting his own limits. Just as you shouldn't let emotional impulses drive your actions, you also shouldn't allow anyone, especially a woman, to cross boundaries that are essential to your well-being. Why boundaries matter? Protecting your inner peace. In Stoicism, one of the key ideas is to control what is within your power and let go of what is not. Personal boundaries are precisely that. They are within your control. They're about defining what you are comfortable with, what you value, and what you're willing to tolerate. When you neglect or ignore these boundaries, you're essentially allowing someone else to control your emotional, mental, and even physical space. This compromises your sense of self and invites unnecessary stress into your life. Imagine being in a relationship where you're constantly compromising your beliefs, your time, or your needs to please someone else. Eventually, this leads to burnout, resentment, and loss of personal identity. A Stoic man doesn't allow this to happen. He sets clear boundaries, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. The risk of overextending. Why smart men set boundaries? Smart men know that overextending themselves, whether emotionally, physically, or intellectually, leads to depletion. Relationships should be a partnership where both individuals feel valued and respected. But when you fail to communicate or enforce your boundaries, you risk being taken for granted or, worse, manipulated. When a woman sees that you are consistently giving up your personal needs to accommodate hers, it can breed unhealthy dependency. This not only harms your emotional health, but it also distorts the balance in the relationship. A smart man knows when to say no without guilt. Whether it's declining a request for more time than you can give, or refusing to tolerate disrespectful behavior, maintaining boundaries is a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows that you value yourself, and you expect others to do the same. How to set boundaries without creating distance. Many men fear that setting boundaries will push women away or create tension. However, the truth is that clear, respectful boundaries are attractive. They convey that you are emotionally self-sufficient and capable of maintaining your own integrity. Instead of fearing that a woman will leave if you say no or express discomfort, understand that healthy boundaries actually lead to stronger, more sustainable connections. For instance, if a woman constantly expects you to drop everything to meet her needs, you can calmly express your limits without being confrontational. You might say, "I value our time together, but I also need time for myself to recharge." This doesn't create distance. It fosters respect and understanding. It allows the relationship to grow in a way that honors both individuals. Stoic wisdom on boundaries. Embrace your sovereignty. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When it comes to boundaries, we often fear the worst, that someone will react negatively or that will hurt their feelings. But in reality, when you assert your boundaries with respect and clarity, it often leads to more harmonious interactions. Boundaries are not walls that keep others out. They are markers that ensure you're protecting your emotional and mental well-being while allowing space for genuine connection. 4. Don't use manipulation or deception. Building on the importance of setting clear boundaries, we now turn to one of the most crucial aspects of maintaining integrity in any relationship: honesty. While boundaries protect your peace and well-being, honesty preserves the foundation of trust and mutual respect in a relationship. A smart man, rooted in Stoic wisdom, never resorts to manipulation or deception, no matter the situation. He understands that short-term gains achieved through dishonesty always come at the cost of long-term damage. The Stoic virtue of honesty. Truth above all else. In Stoicism, virtue is the highest good, and honesty is at the core of that virtue. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "A liar is not believed even when he speaks the truth." This profound insight emphasizes that once you compromise your integrity with lies or manipulation, your credibility and trustworthiness are forever in question. A smart man recognizes that honesty isn't just a moral choice, it's a tool that strengthens his relationships and his character. When you manipulate or deceive, you're undermining the very foundation of trust that is essential for any meaningful connection. Whether it's bending the truth to avoid conflict or using emotional manipulation to get what you want, it's ultimately a betrayal of respect for the other person, and for yourself. A Stoic man knows that every time he manipulates, he chips away at his own virtue. The long-term cost of manipulation. Imagine this. You're in a relationship and decide to tell a small lie to avoid confrontation or to make things smoother. It feels harmless at first. But, as with any deception, the truth eventually catches up. Trust is broken, even if the lie seemed insignificant at the time. Manipulation, whether emotional or psychological, is no different. It's tempting to try and control someone's feelings or behavior through indirect means, but this is a slippery slope. Each small manipulation creates a web of dishonesty that eventually leads to emotional disconnection. Trust, once lost, is incredibly difficult to regain. Smart men, understanding this principle, value transparency in their interactions. They prefer uncomfortable truths over smooth lies because they know that lasting respect is built on authenticity, not games. Honesty and vulnerability. The key to deep connection. Being truthful requires courage, and it's in this courage that true emotional intimacy is formed. Many men fear that honesty might create conflict, or worse, drive a woman away. However, honesty is a powerful magnet in relationships. It might be difficult to be vulnerable at times, but it creates a deeper, more genuine connection when both partners are willing to be their true selves. For example, if something is bothering you, don't conceal it to avoid rocking the boat. Instead, express it calmly and respectfully. Say, "I value our relationship, and there's something on my mind that I'd like to discuss." A Stoic man knows that expressing his thoughts and feelings openly strengthens the bond, even if the conversation is tough. Why smart men avoid manipulation and deception? A smart man never uses manipulation or deception because he values integrity above all else. He doesn't view honesty as a strategic move to win affection or approval. He views it as a reflection of his character. Manipulation, on the other hand, is a sign of weakness. It shows a lack of confidence in one's true self and a reliance on external tactics to create control. When you choose truth over deceit, you become the kind of man who commands respect. Not because you manipulate or control, but because you stand firm in your authenticity. In the long run, honesty builds trust, and trust is the bedrock upon which successful relationships are built. 5. Don't overcompromise on your values. Picking up from the importance of honesty and integrity, let's now dive into the idea of compromise, a word that often carries a positive connotation in relationships. While compromise is necessary in any partnership, there is a fine line between healthy negotiation and sacrificing your core values. A smart man understands that his values are non-negotiable, and compromising on them, even for the sake of a relationship, only weakens his sense of self. The Stoic principle. Stick to what you believe. In Stoic philosophy, one of the most important virtues is consistency, the ability to stay true to your principles no matter what. Marcus Aurelius, a prominent Stoic philosopher, said, "If you seek tranquility, do less." This advice isn't about doing less in terms of actions. It's about simplifying your life by sticking to what truly matters. A man who knows what he stands for doesn't let external pressures sway him from his core beliefs. When you compromise on your values, you're essentially saying, "I don't believe in myself enough to stand firm." It can start small, agreeing to something you don't believe in, suppressing your opinions to avoid conflict, or neglecting your personal goals to meet someone else's expectations. But over time, this kind of compromise erodes your self-respect and can leave you feeling disconnected from your true self. The dangers of over-compromising. Losing yourself over compromise often begins innocently enough. In a relationship, you might find yourself bending your beliefs or actions to accommodate the other person's desires, hoping to keep the peace or avoid confrontation. However, the more you suppress your values, the more you lose sight of who you are. Eventually, you may find yourself caught in a relationship that doesn't align with your true desires or aspirations, one where you've sacrificed your happiness for the sake of harmony. This may look like compromising your career goals to spend more time with your partner, constantly bending your ethical standards to avoid disagreements, or losing touch with your passions just to keep your partner satisfied. Over time, these small sacrifices add up, and you wake up one day realizing you've built a life around someone else's dreams, not your own. How to know when you're over-compromising? A smart man is aware of the subtle signs that he's over-compromising. It's important to pay attention to moments when you feel uneasy or resentful. Ask yourself, am I compromising my core beliefs, my happiness, or my integrity to make someone else happy? If the answer is yes, it's time to recalibrate. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect, not on one person constantly sacrificing their values for the other. For instance, imagine you're in a relationship where your partner's priorities consistently clash with your own. Perhaps she expects you to always put her needs first at the expense of your own. If you begin to feel drained, resentful, or disconnected from your own goals and values, it's a sign you're over-compromising. A smart man takes a step back and reassesses, always ensuring that his beliefs and values are respected. The strength of standing firm. Attracting the right partner. The key to not over-compromising on your values is confidence in your own worth. When you stay true to who you are, you naturally attract relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. While compromise is necessary in any partnership, it should never come at the expense of your character or principles. A man who stands firm in his beliefs attracts a partner who values him for who he truly is, not for someone he's pretending to be. By maintaining your values, you create a relationship that is built on a foundation of mutual respect. This is far more rewarding than a relationship where you're constantly adjusting yourself to meet the other person's expectations. 6. Don't lose your sense of purpose. Picking up from the idea of holding firm to your values, the next essential trait of a smart man in relationships is maintaining a strong sense of purpose. It's easy to get caught up in the ebb and flow of romantic relationships, especially when emotions are running high. However, a smart man never lets his relationships, no matter how fulfilling, become the sole focus of his existence. A Stoic understands that purpose is the anchor of a meaningful life, and losing it can lead to dissatisfaction, confusion, and imbalance. Why purpose is the foundation of a fulfilling life. Purpose is not just a lofty idea or a motivational buzzword. It's the core principle that guides your actions and decisions. It's the reason you wake up each morning with energy, enthusiasm, and a sense of direction. For a Stoic man, Purpose comes from understanding his own values, goals, and contributions to the world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the Stoic mindset, a sense of purpose that pushes you forward, no matter the obstacles or challenges you may face. When you lose sight of your purpose, you risk drifting aimlessly, allowing external circumstances to dictate your happiness and direction. This is especially true in relationships. While love and companionship are wonderful, they should never replace your personal growth, ambitions, or passions. When a man loses his sense of purpose to please a partner or give up his own dreams, he becomes a shadow of himself, and that's a recipe for dissatisfaction. The trap of losing yourself in a relationship. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that relationships should be the center of your world. However, a relationship should complement your life, not define it. When you place your entire sense of purpose in the hands of another person, you create a dangerous dependency that threatens your own well-being. This is where many men make the mistake of losing themselves in a relationship. They may sacrifice their personal goals, hobbies, and ambitions in the name of love, only to feel unfulfilled and lost down the line. Imagine this. You've been spending so much time trying to please your partner, adjusting your goals to fit their desires, that you no longer remember what your own dreams were. You've forgotten what excites you, what gives you a sense of fulfillment outside of the relationship. The truth is, relationships should be about two individuals coming together to share in life's journey, not about one person losing themselves to become someone else's idea of who they should be. Purpose as a magnet for growth and attraction. When you have a clear sense of purpose, you not only enhance your own life but also attract relationships that are built on respect and mutual growth. A man with purpose is naturally attractive. He brings energy, enthusiasm, and direction to the relationship, which in turn inspires his partner to pursue her own purpose. Instead of becoming dependent on the relationship for fulfillment, both partners become supporters of each other's growth. Purpose also keeps you grounded. Even in moments of disagreement or difficulty, when you're clear on your purpose, you're better able to navigate challenges without losing your sense of self. It gives you the strength to maintain balance, perspective, and emotional resilience. How to reconnect with your purpose. If you feel like you've lost touch with your purpose, it's never too late to rediscover it. Ask yourself, what are my passions? What drives me? What impact do I want to have on the world? Reconnect with your personal goals, whether they're related to career, health, creativity, or personal growth. By consistently pursuing your purpose, you not only enrich your own life but also create a relationship dynamic where both partners support each other's individual aspirations. 7. Don't lose your independence. Building on the idea of maintaining a strong sense of purpose in life, the next key to being a smart man in relationships is preserving your independence. While love and companionship are essential parts of life, a smart man understands that true fulfillment comes from a balanced, independent life. The best relationships are those where both partners maintain their individuality, with their own goals, passions, and identities intact. A man who loses his independence in a relationship risks sacrificing his self-worth, happiness, and personal growth. The power of independence in relationships. Independence doesn't mean emotional distance or disconnection. It's about maintaining your personal identity and autonomy, even within a committed relationship. A Stoic perspective teaches us to embrace what is within our control and detach from what isn't. In relationships, this means staying true to yourself, your values, and your goals, no matter how close or intertwined you become with someone else. Independence is crucial because it ensures that you don't become overly reliant on your partner for your happiness, self-esteem, or purpose. When you keep a healthy level of independence, you can offer your partner more than just attention or affection. You offer a well-rounded version of yourself, someone who is self-sufficient, confident, and secure in who they are. The danger of losing yourself. Dependency versus interdependence. The risk of losing your independence in a relationship is a subtle one. It often begins with small, seemingly harmless sacrifices, spending all your time with your partner, neglecting your personal hobbies or career aspirations, or relying too heavily on them for emotional fulfillment. Over time, these compromises can lead to emotional dependency, where your sense of self-worth becomes tied to your partner's approval or presence. This type of dependency creates imbalance. The relationship shifts from a healthy, mutual exchange of love and respect to an unhealthy dynamic where one partner feels the constant need to please, impress, or appease the other. This, in turn, can cause resentment, frustration, and a loss of attraction. Why? Because deep down, both partners know that real connection is built on respect for each other's individuality, not on emotional reliance or clinginess. The benefits of retaining independence: when you maintain your independence, you are more capable of maintaining a sense of peace and stability within the relationship. You're not constantly worried about losing the other person or bending to their needs at the expense of your own. A man who is independent doesn't feel threatened by his partner's success or autonomy. In fact, he celebrates it. He knows that a strong relationship is built on mutual growth and support. Independence also fosters a sense of attraction. Ironically, when you don't appear overly reliant on your partner, they are more likely to be drawn to you. It's the simple law of psychological reactance. People are often attracted to those who stand firm in their identity, pursue their passions, and are emotionally secure. By staying independent, you maintain your value and create a relationship where both partners are able to thrive individually and together. How to maintain your independence in a relationship? Maintaining independence doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about balance. It's important to cultivate your own interests and passions, spend time with friends, pursue your career goals, and take care of your personal health and well-being. When you prioritize your own growth, you bring more to the relationship because you are a whole person in your own right, not just an extension of your partner. Don't lose sight of your goals, your dreams, and your needs for the sake of the relationship. At the same time, be supportive and present for your partner, but always remember that you are both separate individuals, capable of thriving independently. The healthiest relationships are those where both partners are independent yet interdependent, able to support each other while remaining true to themselves.